Andrejus Trofimovas, the CEO of the Aventus Group, is joining me today to discuss the impact of the war in Ukraine on its lending business. Thanks for joining me, Andrejus.
Thank you for speaking today.
So it has been about 3 weeks since we talked last time. It was 1 week before the invasion of Russian troops into Ukraine. What has changed in your businesses in Ukraine and Russia since then?
So don't speak about politics now. So of course everything has changed now. Of course we now have absolutely different plan of activities. 3 weeks ago we were thinking how to issue loans for more than €1 billion and earning like more than 60 million profit. So now is completely different task now. So the main task for us is just to pay all the debts for investors as soon as possible. This is the main our task for now. So what we have now. We have now that situation when we in Aventus, we have damaged markets, Russia and Ukraine, plus we have undamaged markets like Poland, Vietnam, Moldova, others. So currently we work in normal way in these markets, Russia included by the way. So everything is going like it was before, nothing has changed at all. So we just stopped operation in Ukraine because we can't issue loans there. Actually we can, but we will not collect. And we are only collecting money there. By the way, at this moment we are collecting an average like 20% from total volume, so not little. And in our numbers are quite significant amount of money comes to our accounts every day. But we can't transfer this money, not from Russia, not from Ukraine to peerberry to cover our debts there. So we understand that it doesn't make sense, to try even to pay all the debts, because the debt for today in Russia and Ukraine is 35.8 million euros with interest, But by now we have there 41.8 million euros good portfolio, plus real estate, 20 million on purchasing price, 30 million market value before the war, so quite significant amount of money there. So it's more than enough to cover everything actually for investors. But the problem is that we can't transfer money. So we are now acting in normal way in existing market, which are not damaged, and collecting money in Ukraine. In Russia we are also working, but we separated it to separate group just to protect our assets there. This is our plan and we are working on it every day.
I'm aware that the group guarantee has been activated on peerberry, which means that all the lenders of the Aventus Group are currently covering up for the repayments from Ukrainian and Russian loans, which caused a delayed part of the portfolio for a lot of investors. Given the current situation that you cannot transfer funds from Russia and Ukraine to peerberry investors, if, let's say, in the scenario where this will not be an option for the upcoming months, how long would it take to recover all the debt from Ukraine and Russia while keeping your businesses sustainably on our markets? Are we talking about 2 years time frame here?
So I can say our debt, now I clarified numbers, 31.6 million euros for Ukraine and Russia. And good portfolio, 50.8, so 20 million plus property. But this year we calculated that even without Russia and Ukraine, we can earn like 24 million euros after taxes. So again, if we speak about debt, 31.6 and we profit 24 million euros, it's more than a year, like 1.5 year, in case we forget about Russia and Ukraine. But no, it's impossible, because in case of Russia, definitely we'll find ways how to transfer money later, maybe through China or Dubai or other country, maybe India, something like this, but later, not now. Because we need to wait a little bit just to understand the situation with exchange rate again, which is also kind of problem now. So I don't see like problems. Of course, it could take more than a year, but we'll be paying like on a regular basis, but later. But of course, now we can't use like group guarantee, because if we decide to close the debt for Russia, Ukraine, we'll need to close all the business here. And even if we do it, it will be not enough money now to cover everything, because we need to collect money from these big markets. This is quite obvious, I would say.
On peerberry, everybody is aware of the 60-day buyback guarantee. Currently, all the loans are being delayed to cover up for Ukraine and Russian loans, even the loans from countries such as Kazakhstan and Poland. So some investors who have especially excluded Russian and Ukrainian loans are kind of a bit suffering from the inadequate liquidity they would have usually expected. Now, from my understanding, if the situation doesn't improve, the buyback guarantee will not be able to be upheld for Ukrainian and Russian loans. But what about the other countries? Will they be able to repay the debt within the 60-day time period?
So for Ukraine and Russia, you're correct. We can't use this guarantee because of war, because we have absolutely clear force majeure situation. And as I told you before, it's not enough reserves or money just to cover this debt because this market was very big. So speaking about other countries, I don't see any problem at all. We are working in a normal way. Okay, maybe they were like some late a little bit because we wanted to keep some reserves, because we in such time of turbulence, it's better to keep some money, to pay on time for investors. But in general, everything is there absolutely okay as it was before. Nothing has changed at all.
A lot of the investors had the impression from the latest communication from peerberry and the Aventus Group that your group of companies have sufficient cash reserves in European bank accounts to cover up the debt for peerberry. That was the case before the war, and now it seems like investors will have to wait quite a long time to recover their investments. So can you perhaps explain the cash reserves and the current situation?
The situation with cash reserves, yes, we had enough cash reserves. We were keeping about 10% of our debt in reserves, in different reserves, even a little bit more. But you need to understand that it's not possible to have 31 million euros in reserves, just to keep on accounts because we need to pay interest for them. It's just impossible, in terms of warring two biggest countries, in our portfolio. So we kept money, more than 10% of total debt, but it's still not enough to cover Russia. It's just impossible. You understand? So this is the reason why we are not using reserves to pay everything at once.
So investors should be more aware of the leverage effect. Like you have expected, in case that there is going to be a conflict, it would be probably just in a specific region and that you would be still able to recover the debt and transfer it back to investors, correct?
Absolutely, exactly. When you asked me about the war 3 weeks ago, everybody in Ukraine was sure that if the war starts, it will be like in this region of Donbass and so on. It will be stopped. Nobody could think about Kiev and all the Ukraine, just like something from, crazy. With 0% of possibility, but it happened, So in case of local conflict, there was no problem at all for us to pay immediately, as we spoke before. But when two big countries are in real war, this is like completely different situation, as you understand. But completely different situation not only for us, by the way, for everybody. This is like absolutely a real force majeure, which is explained for everybody. But we are not refusing our responsibilities, no. Because we pay everybody, and as I told you before, I am the biggest investor of peerberry, and I didn't take money. All of my money invested in Russian and Ukrainian loans.
Obviously, investors have also the option to invest in other countries on peerberry, such as Moldova, Romania, Kazakhstan, or Poland. And as an Eastern European myself, and I feel like a lot of people in Eastern Europe see a potential risk that if the war expands into, let's say, into other countries that are also part of NATO, that it could start basically a World War III. And in that case, it would not matter at all in what kind of countries investors are investing. Is my assumption correct here?
Absolutely correct. I'm in Lithuania, so we are on the border with Russia and people are worried about the situation. But again, we are a NATO country, and if Russia starts war against us, then it will be World War III, and everything will collapse. So nobody will think about money. But on the other hand, I can say, speaking about today's situation, I can say that it will be global crisis for all the markets. And speaking about our product, people are taking loans in every market in quite active way. But I want to say that inflation will really high in Europe as well. So we need to think about how to protect money. This is also like an issue, what to do with money, because I think the inflation rate now will be quite high everywhere. Because Europe need to finance Ukraine, war, and everything, Now, oil prices are different, raw materials are just completely different prices. So how to compensate? Only by inflation. So it means that everybody will lose money. Just the exception could be like if you invest money. Speaking about us, I can say again, we have two situations. One, Russia, Ukraine, which are damaged by the situation, which is just obvious for everybody. And we are very safe situation, which is not damaged by a war and everything. And these are separate situations. So I definitely invite our investors to invest in this business of Aventus in not damaged countries. Everything there is absolutely okay. Nothing has changed at all. And we are still growing, working there like before.
All right. Thank you very much for your insight. For the investors who want to be informed about the latest developments regarding the business of the Aventus Group, please follow the blog post on peerberry's website and bookmark our news section on P2P Empire. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next video.